Hey everyone, it's Ted from All right. So, hey guys, this is Ted, formerly of Mob Rules, now of his own damn self. Yeah, sorry it's been a bit. I didn't know if I was planning on coming back. I wasn't sure. But I figure now, under my own umbrella, we're going to try to make these things a little bit more infrequent and kind of when I want to do them. It was a lot of work to put out a podcast and videos and everything else. It was and be a single parent. So now I can do all that stuff when I want to. And there's no pressure. So pressure. Now, unfortunately, I decided that the first project that I'm going to start is a big one, and it's going to be very orc specific. Actually, a lot of these videos are going to be more focused on what I want to do versus what I think like the general public wants. It's going to be a little bit more selfish, I know, but that I think that's just going to be how it works out. So anyway, so the thing that caught my interest was the orc buggies that came out. So one of the things, I love a challenge. I absolutely love a challenge. So I was really excited when they said that the orc buggy was going to be the most versatile kit they ever made. It is the least, it's the least versatile kit that the orcs have, as far as I can think of right now. So, which means there's more challenge. So you thought I was just going to bitch about it, but I'm not, because it's more of a challenge. And like I said, I love challenges. Masochist. So anyway, so this thing has no options on it whatsoever. This is the Shokkjump Dragsta. I played with one of these kind of like in a proxy, but I haven't actually put one of these together. So what I want to do, I have all these old buggies. I have tons of old buggies. I loved buggies. I love orc vehicles. I was a big Mad Max fan when I was a kid. And orcs are hella Mad Max, right? Like they just cobble stuff together and that's their jam. So I want to take these old buggies, this guy right here. Sorry, the dog is like attacking the cat. But the problem is, this is the base. As you can see, like that's, it doesn't, I mean, there's like massive base and little buggy. This was a mild conversion I did when I was much younger. As you can see the Rogue Trader plasma cannon on there that I peeled off one of my guys. And then, so I want to take this thing and turn it into the Shokkjump Dragsta. I figure the shock rifle or whatever is basically like a 2-shot plasma cannon versus like a D6 plasma cannon, and it's 24 inches, so it's kind of the same thing. So anyway, I played with it. I liked the play of it, even though my rolls sucked. I ended up putting like 2 wounds on me and never hurting any of his stuff. It was just my piss poor rolls. But anyway, so I'm gonna turn this into a Dragsta. But here's the problem. I have to make, if I'm going to put this together stock, and I really don't want to, but I kind of do, just to kind of see how they do it, and then I can reverse engineer it. If I do that, everything has to have that basic motif. They don't look identical, but they have to look as though like the same mechs, or the same brand of mechs built it. Like when I put this down on the table, people have to recognize what it is, or at least be questioning what it is, enough to where I can say, oh, no, that's the Shokkjump Dragsta, right? So that's kind of what we're thinking here. So I'm thinking with this guy, one of the neat things that this had was, see the middle finger, was it had this, the shock attack gun bit right there. I'm seeing like these, God, it's like these crazy, like the engine off of a prop plane with little bobbles on it. Actually, now that I look at those look a lot like the grenades from Mortarion. And then it has, let's see, so that's kind of interesting. So I have to put that thing, something like it. We're going to make one out of plasticard more than likely, because I'm not going to go buy a shock attack gun for this, although I probably have like 6 of them that I probably won't use anymore. Then these we'll probably find, I don't know what we'll find. We'll probably find some sort of freaking, I don't know, maybe it'll be like an airplane kit or something, or maybe we just won't do that. So we're gonna have that, or we're gonna make this, instead of that rifle, it's gonna be this guy. And And I really like the idea. I have like all these goblins, like the wolf riding goblins. I think that would look really cool. Like if one of them is supposed to be the gunner, I think maybe we could have like one of those guys like straddling it because it has those well, the wolf straddly legs. So maybe it'll look good on there. Maybe this might be a little bit too small. I'm not sure. And then of course we have to have like the what is it called? Not the airfoil, hydrofoil. It probably is the airfoil. This guy right here. So there's, and it has to have like a sleek cowl on the front of it. Kind of look like those old Formula cars from back in the day. That's French for the day, by the way. I know French. Anyway, not really. So anyway, I also these buzzsaws, I don't really care for them too much. So we're gonna try and change those up. But otherwise, it has racing slicks. I don't know about racing slicks. What we're gonna do for that? We'll figure it out. So anyway, let's take a look at what this thing looks like assembled, and then we're gonna try and mod this guy to look like that, ish. All right, so got basically the dragsta built. I didn't want to go too far. I know originally I said that I would, but I just wanted to kind of get the basic shape, give us the dimensions of what we need to do with our buggy. I have to say, like, this was, it's you know, they got some really intricate models. I'm really kind of excited about, I know I don't sound excited, but it's early in the morning. Anyway, so it's very intricate. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. I duly appreciate that, you know, and it's like putting together a puzzle, except you have the instructions. So a lot of the details on here, oh my God, dude, really, you know, being something of a car nut. I'm not a dragster nut. I'm not like a race car nut, but I love old British sports cars. I have a 55 MGA that I restored, every bolt on it. So, and you know, I've had automotive projects in our household all the time when I was growing up. So some of the throwbacks on this were awesome. This especially, this made me so happy. I think like when I restored that MGA, I was it blew my mind that it would have wooden floorboards. So like the fact that this thing has wooden floorboards, I could definitely tell like the designer took some time and understood what he was designing. So that was really badass, and it kind of, I was trying to figure out what it looked like. I know a lot of the old race cars back in the 40s kind of had this cigar shape, but it also kind of reminded me of the old 1950s Morgans. So there's some British sports car elements to it. Anyway, one thing that I had heard people say was that the plastic was low quality. And it's, oh gosh, it's tough to say. You know, I think with anytime you do yellow plastic, there's a certain amount of like opacity that you have to do with it, because like the yellow, the way they make yellow, and I don't know exactly the science behind it, but it seems like with the pigments, it's not as, oh gosh, rich. It's just, I mean, if you took like the same old polystyrene and just added, you know, like yellow dye to it, you're probably just gonna come up with like this brown turd. So I think that there's like a change to the formula. Does seem to be taking the polystyrene glue just fine, so you know it's gonna get it done. One of the things I didn't like about it was that when you're scraping mold lines, it's really hard, especially, yeah, you know, when you got that like white line right there. You know, I was going over the saw blades, and I really couldn't tell if I got the line or not because it was just so bright. And you know, the mold lines are white, like, so that was kind of frustrating. And unfortunately, what's going to end up happening is that we're going to find the mold lines after we paint this thing. Son of a bitch. But whatever. It's an entry-level kit to some degree. You know, like they're basically putting out in their board games to get people interested in the Speed Freaks. So I'm classifying that as entry-level, even though it's not like a snap fit or whatever. So anyway, those are some basic thoughts on the kit itself. There'll be more later because I'm not done with it. So one of the things we're looking at right now is how do these two marry up? You can see this is obviously a massive difference, right? Like the thing is almost twice as long, and probably an extra 30% wider at the widest point. The front's not so bad, but so what I want to do, what I'm considering, is probably we're gonna strip the radiator off of this guy. Because I don't see the radiator being functional in the back. It's not a Volkswagen Beetle. So we'll take the radiator off, and I'll probably turn that into the engine that pilots, or that supports the shock jumper. After that, I'm thinking we're probably going to remove the wheels, the front wheels here, and then we got to bring them up. So it looks like the difference is about, we're probably looking at a 3-inch difference between these two lengthwise. It looks like, let's see, that guy's about 2 inches, and that guy's about 1.75 inches. So we're probably looking at, 3/4 of an inch-ish there. So we'll probably expand this out. What I'm thinking, we'll probably expand the frame out just a little bit, and for the wheels, they're a bit smaller. We might double them up, like do the double wheels on the back. Because what I was thinking is, like, one of the problems with the Dragsta is that you have racing slicks on, and though that meets, like, it's dog whistling. It's like it's saying that, this is a dragster. Dragsters have flat wheels because that's what they do. But the reason they have flat wheels is because they're on asphalt and they need as much contact as possible. But when you're on a battlefield, the slicks are just going to be trouble. So we'll probably let it be the knobbies. So anyway, that's kind of the thought so far. Let me cut this guy open and get you a basic frame. All right, so here we are, many hours later. Put a little bit more of the dragster together. I don't know. I just figured I could paint it this way. And I have a bunch of cromlech heads for my freebooters. So we gave him a scarf head wrap thingy. Anyway, so there's not much conversion that I'm probably going to do to this guy. But then over here, we have the work in progress. So I ended up putting this guy together. This is the shock rifle. And I just wanted to see, like, how it works. I thought it was pretty cool. That little tri-bubble thing is in there, and you can kind of put it however you want inside there. But it looks like this uses the custom Blasta technology, because I noticed those off the custom Blasta. If you picked up a mech, you've probably seen those too. So there's a lot of crossover. Apparently that's general Ork technology. So decided to take that plasma cannon and do crud. Okay, do the same thing to it. It's not done yet, but this is the basic premise. And there'll be some cables that'll come off of here, some details. I think I might bring the barrel out a little bit. And this was really easy, of course. Just like a series of plastic tubes. And that's that. So for this guy, I did some frame action. So use some channel iron, channel plate, stick, rod, whatever. Try to put the what emulates the steering shaft down in there, and there'll be a couple little boxes in here, and then it'll be like so that rack and pinion kind of thing going on. So there'll be a cross member that comes over to that little guy right there. So then this is where it hinges, where that bolt is. Then let's see, this is the dashboard, and it fits. That little notch goes right there. And then this is going to be the front of the cowl. Part of the front of the cowl. I guess it's like closer to the midsection. But so what's going to happen here? Like, I cut this out of like really thick plasticard, and I'm going to take that and I put these L brackets on there as for something to glue to. So I'm going to take like a thinner piece of plasticard and wrap it around, so we kind of get this. So we kind of have that like rounded cowling, the hood. So those these go in there. Eventually they'll glue down, but I think I might wrap the cowl first. That way I can pop it on and off and still mess around in there. I wanted to use some of the older elements, so I think I'm going to take this guy, shave and then diagonals here, and kind of build up little walls like this guy right here. That way, I want to use as much of the old kit as possible, although I did go grab this out of my bits box. This isn't the one that I had on here originally, because I didn't feel that those shields really worked very well, so I'll use it for something else. So these, these are really cool. I've been holding on to these for like, gosh, I don't know, 30 years or so. It's from a G.I. Joe toy that I had as a kid, and I just threw it in my bits box when I was young. So I made a lot of Ork vehicles out of G.I. Joes. I thought these wheels were cool, but I had no idea what I would use them for. So I think I might have a couple extra of these. But so anyway, this is the old plastic sucks for glue. So I had to use, like super glue in here. Built it up a couple layers. Oops! Oh no! Oh, that's not good. I'll show you the other one instead. I didn't fuck that one up. Oops, potty words. So anyway, I wanted to have that flush in there, but still have a little gap. Then I'll put a nut and bolt kind of thing like we did here on the inside there. But yeah, so I made a sleeve out of some plastic tube, glued it in there, and then built up around it to create a body, and then got a couple more sleeves here, and this is going to go in there eventually. So I don't know if okay, so I might have to shave these down a little bit. But anyway, so that'll go in like that. It's going to be a bit thick. I started to build this up, put a little plate here, plastic tube sleeve, chipped away at it. So this is going to be where that the shock jumper goes ultimately. But what I'm kind of seeing here is that I kind of have some dimensional creep going on. So this guy so far, he just barely fits on there. And then this guy is hanging off. So I think we're just going to have to accept that that's happening. Granted, this will come in a little bit further. But I think once we stick that guy on there, it's going to be a pain in the ass. Then, I think for the front, I don't want to do I think I mentioned this earlier, but I don't want to do the blades the same way. I'm kind of thinking about having like these articulating saw arms, really small saw arms, and then have them kind of like going like this, just like two of them kind of sticking out here. Chop, 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 chop. Anyway, so that's it so far. Let's see what happens next. Okay, so here we are. Just making an update to this guy. I was kind of worried about what to do with the grot, so I got a knobbler. I think he was, I had to move his, I think he had like I don't know what it was, like a stick or a knife. I think it was a knife maybe. I don't remember, but so I took that and turned it into a lever. So he'll be shooting this, the shock rifle. This guy back here, I'm going to put a targeting squig right behind him. So he'll be looking over his shoulder, and then I'll probably run a wire down into something. I've been thinking about taking like a screen off of the Rhino interior or something, some small screen, chop it up, create a box, have it coming out here. So he'll be feeding into it, the grot will be looking at the screen and then firing the gun. It's kind of like what they have on the legit one, the yellow shock Dragsta. So that was kind of the answer to that. I do have some wires still to run. They're going to run into here. So there's some detail there still to go. Added a roll bar back here. So the Ork is kind of resting a little bit on it. I haven't got around to putting the cables on this guy. I'm going to run some cables, run into there, into the shaft. But that's about where that is. So far, I fixed the wheels a little bit so they're not pooging out as much. So that's what that's gonna look like. Ooh, I can't remember if I showed you or not, but here's the airfoil. I'm pretty happy with this. I know in the other one there's like these chains that kind of run from the bars here, the roll bar back here, and they kind of run back to kind of like stabilize that. I think I might do that, except I'll have the chain run up into the foil itself. just because I feel like it's just monotonous. So I think that something has to happen with that. Let's see, what else did I do? Here's the dashboard. I'm pretty happy with this. It was really kind of, I like the idea of having like a big red button. So there's that big red button. He has like a handbrake, meters. So the air scoop, I had a problem with that because as it stands, if I put it in the middle, like you could barely see his eyes as it is. He's just barely peeking over the top of that. So if I put the scoop right there, he just wouldn't be able to see it all. So that's kind of where we're at. We put it off to the side. I think it looks really cool. It's something a little bit different. You get some action going off to the side. And then I'm just working on this. I kind of wish I had taken the video before I put this on because it kind of fell apart a little bit. So what I have here is these are going to be the saws. Like there's the saws coming off the front are going to be like these. They're going to stick like that. And there's going to be two of them. There's going to be like a little hole in the front end where these guys are going to poke out. They're going to kind of do this thing. And then there's going to be these some belts that go off the side. There's going to be like a pulley wheel here, and there's the drive wheel in there. So one of the problems it wouldn't actually work if these moved up and down, just because like the tension would vary depending on whether it's doing that or that. But I'm just gonna ignore that. So that's a break in physics. But I think it's gonna look pretty cool. So this will come down, and then of course we'll have, we'll have the bumper thing that's on there. So this is kind of what it's looking like so far. Here's that. Here's this. Oops. Oh, it's getting so close. Here it is so far. Yeah, added the buzz saws. Let's see. You see there. Added the front bit of the hood, the cowl, or bonnet. Yeah, so I was really stoked. Initially, I think I was going to put this piece on there, completely forgetting that it's off the old truck. And it went with this one instead, and I'm really happy that we found that. Yeah, so that'll be, I don't know what that little scoop is on the other one. I really like how the tubes came out. Bending styrene sucks my butt. Oh my gosh. Hate it so hard, but they turned out I had to keep trying and trying and trying. The initial one, the original one that I tried, I ended up sticking under here just to hold that. It was so derpy. Yeah, I was trying to get like a bend here and then a bend there, and it ended up getting like, I'll get like one good bend, and then I'll screw it up, and like it'll just end up kind of mushy. So just like one bend here, okay, cut it, get another bend here, and then this one was easy. You can add just like a quick little bend and then cover it. But yeah, anyway, so then we got the cover. Just add some little details. Got the, you can step over that without getting burned. Because orcs consider these things, maybe not. So I still have to do the cover on this side. But yeah, dude, I love it. Look at one of the things I really dig about this. I'm almost like talking as though like I didn't put it together, but yeah. So this is you got the drive belt on this. That's where I think I was talking about last time, where like, oh, it's not going to really work because the tension's going to be different when these move up and down. But that's it. But it's a little details. I'm kind of going to kick myself. I know it, because when I go to paint this thing, like painting inside there is going to suck. Oh my gosh. So I wish I had a better solution. I might try to like drill some holes underneath here so I could like spray up that way with the airbrush. Yeah. Oh, so now I'm just like onto the details, like why I'm so excited about these little things. I was having a hard time with this because I'm like, man, it's going to be so monotonous, just like that big sheet. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe if I stick the exhaust from the radiator going up through there, that'd look pretty cool. So I'm really trying to like put as many pieces from the original kit in here as possible, but I'm kind of like, I think some of them I'm just not going to be able to do. You know, like the radiator. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit this in anywhere. I was really hoping that somehow I'd be able to stuff it back there and you'd see it behind these. Also the tiny wheels, since I use like the back wheels up front, the tiny wheels, I don't know what I'm going to do, if I'm going to be able to put those there. And then I completely forgot that there's those wheel guards, the wheel wells. I don't think I'm going to be able to use them. Like I could use the back ones up here, and maybe I should, just like as like a nod to the old kit. But we'll see. Anyway, that's it so far. Okay, so, oh, it feels so good. It's all done. Here it is. Blasta, the Shokkjump Dragsta. Yeah, so yeah, we got the squig on there. Got all the tubing. Oh my gosh, there was so much tubing. And yeah, like I said, I didn't get the radiator in there. I did try to throw a little piece of tire in there, just kind of as an homage. But yeah, I decided that, you know, it's probably best that they bolt the cowling down. I did think about trying to fill that gap somehow, but I figured like that's just it, you know, like they'll bolt those in, and they can lift that thing forward, the front end forward, or maybe they can pull the back end off. So there it is. You got the guards for the manifold. Then let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, all the rivets or bolts or whatever, they're all over the place. I just went crazy on it. Remember how I was saying that the pipe ended up a little derpy? So we ended. I put a plate here just as like a fix. I figure like we could just say it's battle damaged or rough or whatever, and then that'll justify that, right? Right? Is that how that works? So we got rockets from the Gorkanaut kit. You know, oh man, I do not like those on the Gorkanaut, but I'm so glad I didn't lose them or anything because they are cool on here, I believe. And it also gave me a justification. Remember how I was saying this was monotonous? Even with that little pipe, it was still monotonous. So running that cable across. So there's a cable that runs from here. So the Gretchin can fire the missiles. The cable goes up, hits this one, and then this one is slaved off of it. So that's kind of the justification there. Threw some glyphs on there. There's a little freebooter symbol because the freebooters. I don't know how I'm going to paint. It's going to be tough to paint that little guy. But yeah, there's some tubes on the shock jumper. Yeah, and just try to throw a little bit of junk in here where I could. There's the banner pole off the original buggy. I figured that was a little nod there. There's one of the axles that I cut off. And let's see, what else do we? Oh yeah, the screen for the targeter squig was just like the little screen off of the Iron Strider for the Mechanicus. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. Like I said, I do have a bunch of buggies. Ideally, I would make all freaking 942 of them. I don't actually have 942, but let's pretend. I'd turn them all into buggies with the new updated buggies, not old school. So we'll see. It's gonna be a lot of work because I think like I started this on Friday and then ended it on Tuesday. So it was a lot, and that was like a 3-day weekend, and I was sick, as you could tell from my voice earlier. So I was able to justify staying at home instead of like going to dinner with people and being social and all that stuff. So can't do that all the time, unless I become a millionaire off this video. So if you happen to be throwing around money for a video and have $1 million and want to be my independent patron, I'd be okay with that. So anyway, that's it.